Imagine this. You are walking through a marketplace in medieval England. People are speaking a language that sounds a little like English, but also very different. Some words seem familiar, while others are completely strange. Now, fast forward to today. English is spoken all over the world. But how did we get here? And why does English sometimes feel so difficult to learn? Well, the truth is, English is not difficult. It just has a long and fascinating history. Welcome to another episode of English in Brazil, the podcast. I'm CARINA FRAGOZO, your English teacher, and today we are talking about the incredible history of the English language. Today, we'll travel in time, and by the end of this episode, you'll see that learning English is not just about memorizing words and grammar. It's about understanding what shaped it, a mix of cultures, stories, and people from all over the world. Understanding this history will help you feel more connected to English and hopefully a little less afraid of learning it. And who knows? Maybe this journey will make learning English a little more fun for you. Of all the episodes in this series, this one might have the most advanced vocabulary, probably above B1 level. But don't worry, I'll speak carefully and clearly so that even learners at lower levels can try to follow along as well. No need to panic, okay? Before we dive in, remember that you can download the script of this episode so you can follow along with both text and audio, and translation too. The link is in the description box. At the end of this episode, I will ask you 3 questions in Portuguese to test what you've learned. I will also highlight some keywords from the episode to help you expand your vocabulary. So, okay, here we go. Time to get started. Old English, the beginning. So our story begins over 1,500 years ago, when England was not England yet. The people living there spoke Celtic languages, but everything changed when 3 Germanic tribes, the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, arrived from modern-day Germany and Denmark. At that time, before the Americas were discovered, the British Isles were considered one of the farthest points in the Western world. From a strategic point of view, controlling these islands was a big advantage because there were no enemies coming from behind. Many groups wanted that advantage, and they came. These groups brought their own languages, which started to mix with the languages already spoken there. This was the birth of Old English. Old English was very different from the English we speak today, with many words that disappeared over time. The most important and one of the oldest records we have from Old English is a poem called Beowulf, about a hero fighting monsters. Until today, people struggle to translate it properly to modern English. Now, in the 7th century, Christianity started spreading to England, with Latin words entering the language. Words like school, paper, and candle. Latin had a strong influence because many religious and scholarly texts were written in it, making it an important language for knowledge and education. They brought their alphabet with them, but some English sounds didn't match with the Roman letters, so people had to get creative. Latin is still one of the biggest influences in the English language. Then, in the 8th and 9th centuries, the Vikings arrived. They spoke Old Norse, which added even more words to English. Thanks to the Vikings, we now have words like sky, egg, and husband. Can you imagine English without these words? Yeah. They also influenced grammar, making some sentence structures simpler. Old Norse even introduced some common everyday words like they, them, and their, which replaced earlier English forms. The way people spoke was already changing. Yeah. But the biggest change was yet to come. In 1066, the Normans from France invaded England, and with them, they brought thousands of French words. This invasion not only changed the vocabulary of English, but also started shaping its structure, making it more like the English we know today. The English language was about to transform completely. Then we have the second stage, Middle English, a language transformed. After the Norman conquest, French became the language of the government, law, and the upper class. English was still spoken by common people, but it started changing a lot. Many French words entered the language, especially in areas like law, for example, court and judge, food, like beef and pork, and art, such as music and poetry. Even everyday words like very and face came from French. But language was not only used for communication. It also showed social class. Rich and powerful people spoke French and Latin, while common people spoke English. This is why we have word pairs like cow, which comes from English, and beef, which comes from French. The farmers, who were usually poorer, raised the animals, while the wealthy nobles ate the cooked meat. This difference lasted for many years and had a big impact on how English borrowed words from other languages. Then came a period known as Middle English, a time when the English language changed a lot. English grammar became simpler, and pronunciation started to sound different. One of the most famous writers from this time was Geoffrey Chaucer, who wrote the Canterbury Tales. His writing was important because it showed that English could be used for stories and poems, not just for everyday conversations. Thanks to him, English became more respected as a language for literature, not only for the lower classes. During this period, Latin and French continued to influence English. These languages added more difficult and abstract words, such as justice, honor, and science, making English richer and more precise. As time passed, different parts of England started speaking English in their own way, which led to different English accents and dialects. Then in 1476, something incredible happened. William Caxton introduced the printing press to England. This made books easier to produce, and English spelling and grammar slowly started to become more organized. But since people used words from different languages and the printing press had a limited set of letters to work with, the written form of English became even less connected to the way it was spoken. Meanwhile, English pronunciation kept changing. So this led to one of the biggest language changes in history, the Great Vowel Shift, which marked the beginning of modern English as we know it today. Around the 15th and 16th centuries, the way people pronounced words started to change a lot. Before this, words like time sounded more like team, and house was pronounced more like whose. People simply started saying words differently. This great vowel shift changed the English pronunciation forever, making it sound more like the language we know today. However, this change also made English spelling more confusing. Why? Because spelling rules were created before pronunciation had fully settled. That's one reason why writing in English can feel so difficult sometimes. But English didn't stop changing. During the Renaissance, many new words entered the language from Latin and Greek, especially in subjects like science, medicine, and philosophy. This was also the time of William Shakespeare, one of the most famous writers in history. He introduced over 1,700 new words and expressions to English. Words like bedroom, lonely, and break the ice all come from his place. His influence on the language was huge, and many phrases we still use today come from his work. Later, when the British Empire expanded around the world, English started mixing with other languages. And that's why we have words from Arabic like coffee, Hindi like jungle, and Japanese like tsunami in modern English. In the 19th century, after the United States became independent, American English started to develop its own style. New slang and expressions appeared, and thanks to Noah Webster's dictionary, American English adopted simpler spellings. For example, color instead of color with a U, an airplane instead of aeroplane, became common in the USA. Webster believed English spelling should be easier and closer to how words sound, which helped American children learn faster. Finally, in the 20th and 21st centuries, technology, movies, and the internet have helped spread English all over the world. Words like selfie, email, and Google, as a verb, are great examples of how English keeps evolving. Thanks to pop culture, music, and social media, English has become one of the most flexible and fast-changing languages in the world. So, what can we learn from this story? English is not a difficult language. It's just a language with a long and exciting history. It has been shaped by different cultures, wars, inventions, and even accidents in pronunciation. When you learn English, you are not just learning words and grammar. You are carrying the history of the Vikings, the Normans, Shakespeare, and so many other people who have contributed to this amazing language. So don't be afraid of English. Instead, be curious. Every English word has a story, and now you are part of that story too. Remember, English is not just about rules, it's about people, ideas, and connections. The more you explore it, the more confident you will feel. Agora é hora de testar o que você aprendeu. Escolha a alternativa correta para cada pergunta e confira a justificativa com a parte do texto original. Pergunta número 1. Por que o inglês é uma língua tão rica em palavras de diferentes origens? A. Porque a língua inglesa foi criada pelos romanos? B. Porque os britânicos sempre preferiam palavras estrangeiras? C. Porque muitos povos invadiram e influenciaram a língua ao longo da história? Ou D. Porque Shakespeare inventou a maioria das palavras modernas? E a resposta é a letra C. Many groups wanted that advantage, and they came. These groups brought their own languages, which started to mix with the languages already spoken there. Pergunta número 2. Por que escrever em inglês pode ser tão complicado hoje em dia? A. Porque a escrita foi padronizada antes que a pronúncia se estabilizasse? B. Porque muitas palavras em inglês não têm vogais? C. Porque Shakespeare mudou as regras de ortografia? Ou D. Porque o inglês é baseado apenas na língua francesa? E a resposta é a letra A. This change also made English spelling more confusing. Why? Because spelling rules were created before pronunciation had fully settled. E a pergunta número 3. Qual foi a contribuição de William Shakespeare para a língua inglesa? A. Ele traduziu textos antigos para o inglês moderno? B. Ele criou o primeiro dicionário de inglês? C. Ele trouxe palavras latinas e gregas para o inglês? Ou D. Ele introduziu mais de 1.700 palavras e expressões ao idioma? E a resposta é a letra D. He introduced over 1,700 new words and expressions to English. Dá para acreditar? Tudo isso é impressionante, né? So, if you got them right, congratulations. If not, don't worry. Listen to this episode again and keep practicing. E as palavras e expressões de hoje são, número 1, shift, que significa mudança, mover ou mudar de posição. Também pode significar turno, dependendo do contexto. Por exemplo, night shift, turno da noite. Então, por exemplo, the great vowel shift, a grande mudança vocal ou de vogais, né? The great vowel shift, uma mudança. Ou um exemplo para os tempos atuais, there has been a shift in the company's strategy. Houve uma mudança na estratégia da empresa. Ou, my shift starts at 9 p.m. O meu turno começa às 9 da manhã. Outra palavra importante aqui foi century. Século, century. It's a period of 100 years, right? So, the 20th century was a time of great technological progress. O século 20 foi um período de grande progresso tecnológico. Também falamos na palavra shape. Shape, que significa forma, dar forma ou formato. Por exemplo, this table has a round shape. Essa mesa tem um formato redondo. Ou the water course shaped the curves of the river. O curso d'água deu forma às curvas do rio. So, shape. So, I hope you enjoyed this journey through time. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend. And let's keep exploring English together. Don't forget to subscribe to English in Brazil for more. E esse foi um gostinho da metodologia English in Brazil com texto guiado adaptado para o seu ritmo. Não esquece de baixar o seu material e a gente se vê no próximo episódio.